Hi, Year 11. I'm going to have a look through the paper 3 homework with you. So you can see here that it says that you're asked to write 0.2 as a percentage. Well, I know that 0.2 is 2/10, and I also know that the percent part of the word percentage means per 100. So I'm now going to convert that into a fraction over 100. I've multiplied this by 10, so I'm going to multiply this by 10. So it's 20 over 100, which is then 20%. I'm then asked to write down two multiples of 8. Well, multiples simply means numbers in my 8 times table. So I could have had numbers like 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and so on. And I'm just going to pick 16 and 24. Don't be too ambitious with that one, just go for some of the kind of really early ones in your 8 times table. Question 3, rod A has a length of 12 centimetres. Rod B has a length of 7 centimetres. Write the length of rod B as a ratio. Well, I know that my ratio involves my 2 dots like this, and it's my rod to rod B. Well, rod A is 12 centimetres, rod B is 7 centimetres. That can't be simplified, so my ratio is 12 to 7. And then I'm asked to find 1/7 of 35, fraction of an amount. I'd always do a bar model. I'm asked to find 1/7 of 35. So I've got 35. It's been divided up into 7 fairly equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I want to know what just one of those parts is equal to. Well, I could then use my calculator. 35 parts into 7 equal would mean that each part is worth 5. So each of these are 5, and it was just one of those, so my answer is 5. If it asked for 2/7, it'd be 2 of those 5s, 3/7, and so on, but it just wanted one of those to start with. Okay, question 5 asked you, in the space below, draw a straight line that is 90 millimetres long. Well, immediately, meters is 1 centimetre, so that might help me, but I can do it either way. I can use my ruler, and you can see here that each of my little millimetres are here using my ruler, so obviously 90 of those is going to be 9 centimetres. You start and where you finish, and then I'm being asked in the space below draw an angle that is 120 degrees. 80 degrees will be an obtuse angle. By writing down the type, it will help me estimate. I know that this would be 90, so maybe 120 would be roughly this size, and estimation is always worthwhile. Now, to draw an angle, you need to start obviously with your line. And then I'm going to use my protractor. I'm actually going to draw my to mark that part. I'm going to lay my protractor over the top, and you can see here that I'm using the outside numbers, and I'm going to go all the way around to 120 and make a mark there, and then all I'm going to have to do is part to the mark I've made. And that angle is then 120 degrees, and I'm going to confidently mark that. Was it roughly the same? Yep. Is it obtuse? I'm happy. Okay, question 6. Again, a little bit to read and your highlighter. Millie thinks of a number. I haven't been told that number, so that is represented by a question mark. It. She doubles the number. Well, that means I know that it got multiplied by 2, and then I added 4, and the result is 18. So I know that what came out of that was 1. Now I think a function machine is a really good way of asking this. So what number was Millie thinking of? The question mark went into it, and my result was 18. The first thing that happened was that I times it by 2. The second thing happened, and that I added 4. I'm going to push it back through in my opposite direction. I'm going to subtract that 4 off, and then I'm going to divide it calculator, I must press equals in between. I know I can do 18 subtract 4, but I'm just going to show that on a calculator paper I'd always subtract the 4 is 14, then I'm going to divide that by 2 is 7. So Millie was thinking of the a great way of doing those kind of think of a number questions. Okay, over on question number 7. Children and a group of adults gave an app a score. 1 was the lowest possible score, 5 was the incomplete bar chart shows information about those scores. Now it is incomplete, I can see that 5 were disregarded. I can see a table here. 14 children gave it a score of 4, 10 children gave it a score of 5, and 9 adults gave it a score of 5. Complete the bar chart. So again, using my ruler, I'm going to use a pencil for this one to make sure I get it accurate first time. I've noticed a square gap for this one. Okay, so it does start with children. Children that gave it 4 was 14, so my bar is going to go up like so, and it goes across to make sure it links to 14, and I'm obviously going to have to put lines through that one. Children, and then the adults gave it a score of 4, and that was only 6 of them that gave it a score of 4, so that only goes up to 6. Coloured one. Okay, I then got my scores of 5. Again, I'm going to leave. 10 children gave it a score of 5. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Make sure it goes across. Yep, it does. So there I can then draw my bar, and again, children, and then my adults, 9 of them gave it a score. Now you can see on here, look, I don't have 9 on my scale of 10 and 8 or 8 and 10, so you can see there that I've done my bar here, and then the adults was the first. Really clear about distinguishing the difference between your adult bars and your. So I know that's then 2 more marks there. You're then asked to work out the total number of adults who gave the app. Okay, so the total number of adults who gave the app a score. Well, that could be from. So let's have a look here. I know that the adults is the dark box. I know that 12 adults gave it a score of 1, plus the 11 adults that gave it a score of 3, a score of 4, and the 11 adults that gave it a score, 9 adults that gave it a score of 5. So I can use my calculator. 12 add 9 meant that 48 adults were asked to give a score. Okay, so you can to compare the scores given by the children with the scores given by the adults. Well, I can see here, first of all, a score. So my first part is going to be more adults, the app a lower score. Actually, a lot of adults just gave it 1. Okay, a lot of adults gave it 2, and actually the adult bars did. Actually, more children gave the score a higher grade, so I can then say that more children gave the app a higher score. Or I could say something like the same number of children and adults gave the app a score of 2, but I'm basically observations when I'm comparing my adult scores to my children's scores. Okay, question 8a, you were asked to solve the. So again, a really good function machine. I've got 4 lots of A, so A, and A. So I'd need to do 12 divided by those 4 equal chunks, which means that A is equal to 3. And then again, machine, the letter Y goes into my function machine, and the number 22 is what came out. I added 7 and out came 22, so I'm going to push it back through. I'm going to by 3. Again, don't want to make any errors kind of as I'm going through. 22 subtract 7 divided by 3 is 5, so Y was equal to 5. Again, the function machine helped me answer that question. Section here, 9A, you were asked to write the ratio 21 to 14 in its simplest form. Well, I'd always write it in its simplest form. They are both in the 7 times table. How many 7s in 21? There are 3. So my answer is 3 parts to 2 parts. The next one, there are some biscuits on a plate. Well, if I've got my plate, so again, a bar was a really good way of doing this. If a quarter of them are plain, write down the ratio of chocolate biscuits to plain biscuits. Well, for plain, so it's 1 to 3. Remember, obviously, that bottom number of your fraction is your total. So don't be caught. Then it says the ratio of the boys to the number of girls in a class is 12 to 13. So boys to 12 to 13. Then it asks you what percentage of the class are boys. Well, immediately I so what percent of the boys, what percent of the class are boys? It's 12 out of 25. So I'm going to make that into a fraction over 100. I've multiplied 25 by 4 to get 100, 8, which is then 48%. Here is a triangle and a rectangle. The perimeter of the triangle is the perimeter is the distance around the outside. So I'm going to work out my perimeter of my add 10 centimeters, add 4 centimeters, which is equal to 24. The triangle is the same as the rectangle, so it means that this, add this, add this, add 24. So I know that this is also 2x centimeters and this is x centimeters. I have got 2x plus x plus 2x plus x is equal to, like terms, I've got 2 x's, 1x, 2 x's and 1x. That is the same as 6 24. If 6 x's are 24, I can then find the value of 1x. I've divided this by 6. Make that a little bit clearer. I can divide this by 6. Divided by 6 is 4. So each x centimetre was 4, but it did ask for my width. With my width here, x is 4 centimetres and my length is 2 x's. Well, if x is 4, 2 x's, that's 8 centimetres. Okay, question 11 involves some substitution. It told you that y is to 5p add t. Work out the value of w when p is 6.2 and t is working it out. W is equal to 5 lots of p, add the substitution part. So p is 6.2 and t is So I can then use my calculator, being a paper working as a calculator. It's 5 lots of 6. Add my next bracket, which was -4, and my answer is 27. So you're just substituting with that part. We have done that lots in tutor time, so you should be fairly confident with that substitution. Number 12, it says that Cameron writes down one letter from the word hour, and then he writes down one number from 5, 6. List all the possible combination Cameron can write. Well, he could have had the H from hour with 5, with 7. He could have had the O with 5, the O with 6, and the O with 7, with 5, the U with 6, and the U with 7, and then the final letter, he could have had R with 6, or R with 7. So you can see there I've got 12 possible outcomes. What is down T7? Well, was there even a T7? In which case then, there is no chance of him getting T7. Good trick question there, so don't get caught out with that one. Okay, and then question 13, you had a conversion between pints and litres. The first thing you're asked to do is to change 6 pints into litres. So I know that my pints is on this axis. Look out, what does 6 pints convert to? So it goes up to my line and then it goes across. It's the second box up. There's 5 boxes each. So 3.4 litres. It then asked me to change 16 litres on here. Okay, but I'm going to have to choose something. I could perhaps choose 4 litres and times it by 4, or by 8. I'm going to try and pick the one that I can be most accurate with. So I'm going to go along to 2. Now 2 converts to pretty much bang on your 3.5. So I'm going to go with 3.5 pints. Well, this question wants 16 litres. So I've obviously multiplied this by 8, by the same, multiplying it by 8, 3.5 multiplied by 8 is equal pints. Okay, if you'd have gone with your 4, and your 4 instead, so 4 goes along. You could perhaps convert that your 4 litres came down to 6.2, probably about 6.9, 6.8, and you could have converted it that way. But either one, your estimate will give you that kind of like bracket of that they'll accept in terms of accuracy. You're then asked to work out the gradient of the line. Now, gradient is quite a challenging change in the y-axis divided by your change in the x-axis. That is my vertical axis. And also, it's really easy if I can divide by 1. So I'm going to do my best to just divide by 1 in terms of my x. So I can see here on my x-axis, it goes from 0 to 1, and then it goes to 0.6. So I can then see that 0.6 divided by that 1 means my gradient is 0.6. And then represents effectively the steepness. Okay, it represents the steepness of a graph. But in this case, pints increase. So the litres. So either version of that is fine. And then I think, yep, that's the end of that paper. So really, let me know if you struggled with any of that. And well done, Year 11.